Parliament of India enjoys vast and extensive powers in different fields, like they enjoy power in legislation, in controlling executive, in constitutional matters, in money matters, and they got a number of miscellaneous powers. Yet the Indian Parliament is not a sovereign body. They do have a lot of powers, but still it's not a sovereign body, just like the Parliament of UK. On the limitations of Parliament, or how Indian Parliament is not a sovereign body, that we will discuss in some other clip. But today we are going to discuss the powers of Parliament. That is, Parliament of Power. The Indian Parliament hold which powers, right? So let's start now. First, let's see the legislative powers. The Indian Parliament can legislate on at least 3 to 4 different areas. First, the Indian Parliament can legislate on Union List and Concurrent List. As far as Union List is concerned, the Indian Parliament has full and final say on that. They can legislate on Union List and no other body share that power. But for Concurrent List, they share the power with the state concerned. It means if a subject is in concurrent list, then the parliament and the state concerned together legislate on that. So on concurrent list, the parliament share the power with the state concerned. However, if there emerge a clash between state law and the union law, in such case union law get precedence. It means if there is a clash between the parliament and the state legislature, then the parliament get precedence, and the parliament can legislate on matters which are not mentioned in either of the list. That's if they are not, if a subject is not mentioned in union list, it's not mentioned in current list, and if it's not concurrent list, and if it's not mentioned in state list. It means if it's not mentioned anywhere in the any of the three lists mentioned in the constitution, then the central legislature or the parliament has the power to legislate on that matter. And beside these three areas, the in parliament can legislate on certain subject matters, state subjects as well. Although the state subjects are vested to the state legislature, the state can legislate on those subjects, but the parliament can also legislate on the state subjects if some conditions are fulfilled. There are four different conditions. If either of these four conditions is at least fulfilled, then the parliament can legislate on that. The very first thing is that if Rajya Sabha passed a bill with two-third majority vote that is necessary or expedient on a state matter on our national interest, then the Parliament of the India can legislate on that subject matter. And next is when a proclamation of emergency has been in either due to threat to the security of India or breakdown of constitutional machinery in a state, then the parliament can legislate on state matters as well. And the third condition is that if legislature of one or two states recommend that the parliament should legislate on a subject incident in state list, then again the parliament can legislate on the state subject. And the fourth and the final one is that if for implementing any treaty, agreement or convention with foreign countries or any decision taken in international conference or association, then the parliament can legislate on state subject. So parliament can also interfere in state subjects, but for that it need at least one of the following one of these given four conditions. It should be passed, either it should be passed by the Rajya Sabha with two-third majority vote, or if there's emergency in the country, or the state themselves or state itself recommend to the parliament that they should legislate for us, and if an international treaty or convention has to be implemented, then the parliament has the right to legislate on the state matters. According to the Constitution of India, the both houses of the parliament, that is the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, have equal rights. But indirectly we can say that the Lok Sabha has precedence on Rajya Sabha. The first thing is that if there emerge a conflict between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, then they could be resolved through joint sittings. But you know that the membership of Lok Sabha is larger than Rajya Sabha. So in joint sitting, usually the Lok Sabha get upper hand. So in this way, we can say that the Lok Sabha got a little bit more powers. Financial powers, as far as the finance of union government is concerned, the parliament has full control over it. No expenditure can be incurred or taxes can be levied without the approval of the parliament. Although the making of budget is the duty of executive, as the finance ministry usually prepared the budget, but the powers of sanction, or the powers to sanction the same, rest with the parliament. That is, it has to be passed through the parliament, and no money bill can be initiated in Rajya Sabha. That's all money bills. If the bill is related to a tax, subsidy, or if it is a budget or a mini budget, then debate on that has to be started in the Lok Sabha. That cannot be started in Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha is obliged to resend money bill with its recommendations, and it is deemed to be passed with recommendations if Lok Sabha passed that. But if Lok Sabha reject those recommendations, then it is considered to be passed by the both houses. So the Lok Sabha got complete upper hand in financial powers, and Parliament can control different financial matters through various means. Usually, the popular system is through committees. They make standing committees and subcommittees on different financial matters, which control the financial system of India. So the parliament have control over executive as well, since you know that in the Indian constitution provide parliamentary system of government. So the executive of parliament is usually drawn from parliament. So in this way, and the other thing is that as usual, as the executive is run by the council of ministers or cabinet, but they stay in office is dependent on the pleasure of legislature. As far as the Lok Sabha is comfortable with the executive can continue their office. But if Lok Sabha believe that the executive is not working properly, they could remove ministers through vote of no confidence. But the Rajya Sabha can't do this. Anyhow, uh, the strict party discipline rules that are adopted or inserted in the Statute of India make it virtually impossible, because the strict policy rules force the parliamentarians to not go against their party leaders, and they are bound to support them, to follow the party discipline. So in this way, this power has been virtually removed from the parliament, although theoretically the parliament holds this power, and parliament could ask for any information about any matter falling in union list, and in that case the executive is bound to provide information to them. Parliament got a vast constitutional power as well. They can make amendments in the constitution. However, still there are checks on that, and that is, the parliament cannot touch on the basic doctrine of the Indian constitution, that is the federal nature, parliamentary nature, and its secular nature. India is a secular country, federal country, and parliamentary country, and the parliament cannot touch on that. It has to be remain intact. And on fundamental rights as well, the parliament cannot suck the fundamental rights of citizens. So Except those basic doctrines of Indian Constitution, the Parliament can make necessary amendments in the Constitution. Beside these, Parliament got number of miscellaneous powers as well. These three are important miscellaneous powers. For example, they elect the president. For the election of the president, the Parliament is the electoral college, and they got the power to elect the president. And the Parliament can recommend to remove a judge, and the approval of emergency, although the enforcement of emergency is the duty of Indian president, but that emergency has to be approved by the parliament. The Indian parliament got vast power, yet it's not still a sovereign body, and constitutionally, and both houses of the parliament got equal rights or equal powers. But you saw that if you will go in a slight detail, or if you will check, if you will move a little bit further to see the powers of parliament, you can see the Lok Sabha got a little bit more superior than Rajya Sabha. Thank you for joining. Take care. Goodbye.